And is that turn 10, Mark?
Yep, that's turn 10, and he got to the bottom, and the grip just went away on the race car, and he kind of made a glancing blow on the right rear. But
you are doing it now still during the spring break window for many that live in the Midwest or that might be visiting or vacationing in Florida. But the big thing is this. I have a lot of family down here. I know a lot of people in the Tampa, St. Pete area. And they
on the Honda side, you can see just locked it up, got in too hard on cold tires and straight into the tire barrier. Unfortunate, because I know he had high hopes and just tried to get too much too quick.
Maybe just bolt-on stuff of the front nose wing assembly.
I don't think it hit the suspension, Mark. I think you're right. I think they can come in and put the
and Ryan Hunter-Ray has not done that. And hopefully it'll just be bolt-on stuff. That's right below your perch later today.
Wow, and he, that's right, in turn number 10, he was approaching his teammate Alexander Rossi, setting up for that left-hander, locks him up, and just slides it big time. That is a big...
Oh, trouble! Graham Rahal turned around on approach to turn 3.
I stalled, but the car seems to be okay.
Now watch, guys. We're going to watch what's going on here. Watch Charlie Kimball's car as we roll this forward here right now. I believe that's Charlie coming through. Graham doesn't see him on the inside. Gets to be squeezed between the wall and Graham and has nowhere to go and ends up actually hitting the back of Graham's car, spinning him around. So to see if he can get some repair done to that and get back onto the racetrack. Look how bumpy and narrow this is, and plus they're on cold tires. You can see the collision happening back there already. Graham does a great job about keeping the car in point.
It looked like the rear end stepped down on the 14 of Carlos Munoz, and he may have gently nudged that outside retaining wall, but he was able to continue on. And Dave, you've been on that checklist that Zach Veach shared with us, and looks like he got in it just a little too hot and climbed on the binders and was just too late.
Had James Hinchcliffe trailing him by about 2 or 3 car lengths, putting the pressure on him.
And Connor Daly actually was in the pits when the field took the
Castro Neves to make a move as he tucks in on his teammate.
And what a move it was. So Dixon has the lead as they work their way past the fountain. That's turns 2 and 3.
Oh, that's tight right there. You're not going to go 2 abreast for very long.
Oh, no, Kimball!
Right away. What did I tell you? And that is Charlie. That will put him out.
And that's 2 races in a row. Kimball went out on the first lap at St. Pete.
I could see that brewing immediately. I said, you're not going to go 2 abreast for very long. And Will Power looks like he might have a bent A-arm.
Yeah, but
Charlie's car.
If you were further back, you had no chance. They were pretty spread out as they go side by side. Pagano making a move.
Oh, and finally going turn 1. Hard contact into the wall.
Michaela Lotion loses it down low. Marco Andretti's
they're piling
out.
into him.
Several cars taken out. Marco Andretti.
The guy who made the move on the start was J.R. Hildebrand, but Sebastian.
Go ahead and roll here and see what happens. There goes a Lotion up ahead, and now he's going to just slide up the track, and Bourdais had nowhere to go. Hinchcliffe is coming down on Bourdais. No big deal. There would have been plenty of room had there not been a spinning car. Then down below, there's other people getting sideways. That's Marco Andretti. Not sure if he was hit, if he spun on his own. He probably had to just get on the brakes to check up.
Looked like McHale dove in here. Looked like he went. He's got Dixon on his side. He just lost it, flat out lost it. And he's had the eyes of the series chief steward on him. He's had some incidents with some other drivers this year and aggressive driving, and it just got away from him. Cold tires, slick track. Hunter-Ray barely got around that, barely snuck by.
There were 4 wide behind him, and there's still guys coming in here that piled in.
Yeah, that was Graham Rahal trying to sneak through the middle of Max Chilton and the wrecking cars of Lotion and Marco Andretti. Here's a great shot from up above.
Yeah, he's got Dixon right on his hip there. And it just came out from under him.
So close for Rahal, almost getting through, and got tagged by McHale. And
just made his stop, and that will be for Takuma Sato. Rick.
Yep, Takuma Sato hard into the wall.
And there's Pagano coming through turn 4 as his teammates, I think you're right, Paul, were just exiting pit lane. So we'll have to see where it cycles back through.
it is. He just got up, didn't turn for some reason, hit the side of the safer barrier pretty hard.
So we are yellow and will be for a little bit.
So we can get a replay on exactly what happened. In fact, here it is now up on the video boards. Hard to tell from that angle, Kevin.
Fortunate that no one else was collected because there were 2 or 3 running right behind him, and a lot of shrapnel on the racetrack. Lost it by himself.
By himself, yeah.
And is that Dixon behind him? Rossi? I think it was Dixon. It was one of the NTT data cars. 500. He's a regular driver for Ed Carpenter Racing. He drives the road and street courses in the number 20, and there's our first look at the replay. And he's on loan to Juncos Racing for this month of May. I think normally, depending on how much debris there is, we might be ready to go with about 5 minutes left. So that would be my best guess.
Here it is. Ooh. Wow. Looks like he tried to correct, and that's not something that you do. The car's going to turn right into the wall head first. Wow.
He was losing the back end, tried to correct, and
the first driver to put any lap in the 231 so far. Trouble! Oh, what a crash! What a terrible crash!
Up and over, car flipped. Came back.
Bizarre would be, I guess, a good word for it based on this first look.
As we watch the cars go through here, guys, the car on the very top, okay, which is Jay Howard. We're going to roll this through now. Well, look at Jay. He's already way off the line. He's off the dark patch of the racetrack, which we call the racing line. He's up in the gray. He's lost control of the car. He's hoping he's not going to hit the wall. He impacts the wall, comes off the wall, just misses the 10 of Tony Kanaan. Unfortunately, Scott Dixon is right there, up and over the front of the car. Car hits on the top of the wall. The safety cell on these cars, guys, I can't tell you how strong they are. An awful accident, but as we saw, Scott Dixon right there, hands away from the steering wheel. We saw him get out, and when we first went to this frame, when we first saw this accident, you heard some roar from the crowd, and that was because they knew that Scott Dixon was okay, and the 77 of Jay Howard was also okay.
Boy, this is just bad timing on Dixon's part and incredible fortune with the way this car lands on top of the wall.
Or he's incredibly fortunate.
On the top right there. On the top load.
He had nowhere to go. Absolutely.
To take 15 away from James Davison.
You can never take Montoya out of an Indy 500.
Oh, look out, that's trouble!
There we go.
Into the wall.
That was a wrong move.
Wrong move, wrong place, wrong time.
Connor Daly.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. That was my fault.
It's the words of Connor Daly here, driving the ABC supply machine.
The AJ Foyt Racing entries torn up. Also, might be that Jack Harvey got caught up in the aftermath of that also. The rookie from England making his Indy 500 debut. Harvey, the 24-year-old from Bassingham, England, originally. He and owner Michael Shank making their debut in partnership with Andretti Autosport, not the way they wanted it to finish. Let's take a look at what happened.
And watch what's going on here, guys. We're going to watch for Connor Daly in the ABC machine right here. Number 4 machine. As we roll here, he's starting to take advantage of some backup that's going on. Everybody's starting to get packed up a little bit. He thinks I'll go around the outside. Not enough room to go around the 83 of Charlie Kimball. Just touches wheels, and when you're on the outside, you're up in that gray area. And off he went into the wall. I'm sure if he had a do-over with that one, he would want to do that one more time differently.
But to his defense, he was on a roll, wasn't he? He just needed an extra half a foot.
Indy 500. Now you see in the top right corner, his car is already around by the time he's getting to the midpoint of the turn. That's the apex. It looked like the back end had come around on him.
Early on, though, before he even came into the picture.
And no other car involved there.
Nope, so the car was either what we call very loose, where the back end wants to come around on you. We call that oversteer, or something broke on the car. I'm going to give you one more replay here. You can see the skid marks up into the wall, the safer barrier.
Jones to the outside of Sano. He gives way. Oh, trouble! Into the wall! And many more involved. James Hinchcliffe, Will Power, James Davison, Oriol Servia.
Boy, we've said this a few times today, yellow breed yellows, and when you come closer to the end, nobody's going to give an inch on the racetrack, and just one small amount of contact doesn't take much before it starts something like this.
I'd like to add one thing.
You've been a good ride today, James. We're proud of you. We're proud of you. We were proud to race with you today.
I'd like to add one thing. We're always talking about saving fuel. Every lap that is under yellow is that much more of a chance, Alan, for a Honda engine that might be close to the limit of making it.
There's Oriol Servia extracting himself from his car. Boy, what a great drive he had today. Joseph Newgarden looking for a push start. I don't believe he hit anything, just spun around to avoid piling in. There's Will Power out of his car. So a big mess in turns 1 and 2 has collected 4 cars and a 5th spun.
There's the contact right there that starts. It looks like Oriol Servia right down on the white line. And just at that point in time starts to lose control. And you see the 18, James Davidson, getting taken out at the same time. Both those guys just in this event for the one race, both did a tremendous job here today. But we talk about as you get closer to the end, restarts or competing, and you know I've talked about this before because we've raced so many of these races, you don't give an inch anytime you go into a turn. And that's exactly what the result was here.
And that was literally a question of probably 5-6 inches.
Did you see how that rear wheel guard came across the top of Servia's car?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just in front of the cockpit.
That's about $1 million of damage going by on the screen. Now the drivers that are behind have literally nowhere to go, and they can't even see where they're going.
Stuck through there.
He really Rossi had
turn 9.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
around that turn 9 area. So while the yep, that's exactly where it is. He's going around that little inner loop and around turn 9, and some heavy contact with the outside retaining wall. backed it in. I don't think it was much of an impact for Rossi, but he was moving at a pretty decent clip there. So while we have this red flag condition, Jake Query has a guest on pit road. Jake?
A lot of times he's in the booth. Little different setup here at Belle Isle, of course, between where everything is laid out throughout the course of the island. So Lewis Frank,
the entire window of fuel. So it's going to happen again today. The window opens at lap 2, ironically. At lap 2, the thing opens. So, there we see the hit just coming off of turn 2. There's that bridge right there, Mark. There's a bit of a bump there, but there's just no grip there. I was out in the 2-seater this morning, and with the rain that came, it didn't really rain enough to wash the rubber off, but it was still just maybe a little damp right there. Just broke the tires loose with cold tires, and the wall he goes.
That area between 1 and 2 is deceptively fast, and if you're not careful through there, that's the end result.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Remember last year, Montoya did the same thing, and if I recall.
We'll see what happens, and I don't know if there was contact here.
Might have cut a tire.
Very close to each other. Castroneves has got a run on the car in front, but
he's got that rear bumper guard that might protect a cut tire, but it certainly looked like Aloshin barely got into him.
Oh, he got a flat.
Broke.
Yeah, something broke, or he got a flat tire.
I don't
just kind of skated up the track and hit the outside wall on the exit. So it was a glancing blow. It wasn't a half spin and hit the wall, but either something in the suspension broke from that contact earlier in the race.
That looked
with James Hinchcliffe. He said something was bent in the car, and they looked around the rear, so maybe something finally let go.
I think it could have been, and it looked like maybe left rear suspension, perhaps. That's a big impact, and they're taking their time getting him out of there. Marty, what do you hear?
Well, you guys remember he had just reported a few laps earlier, and we just said on the air that he had a vibration that he felt like was coming from the right front. His teammate Joseph Newgarden did indeed have a blistered right front that came off of his car, so that's what they're thinking is that tire finally might have let go on Helio Castroneves' car.
And Marty, I was able to take a look at that tire that came off the number 2 of Joseph Newgarden, and yes, indeed, it was heavily blistered on the right front. So that was the reason for his vibration. And as we can see, Castroneves climbing from the car, you could speculate that could have possibly been the issue, as you say, for Castroneves as well.
What a great sign that is to see. He sat for a little while. They wanted to check and make sure all is good. Nobody better than the Homatro safety team. Big hit for Helio Castroneves, but he walks under his own power to the safety vehicle. Pagano up 10 from the start. Pagano restarts in second, right behind his teammate Will Power. Back to green at Texas Motor Speedway with the two Canassis behind and a spin from behind, and that is Ed Carpenter.
Ed Carpenter, what a save. Danny Sullivan style from 1985.
I think he had contact with Vautier. I think Vautier came down. His tires are flat spotted.
Yeah, I got damage.
I think Vautier made a little chop on him. I think they might have had contact. Let's check this out with his in-car. See Vautier right here in front of him. I think Vautier chopped over on him right there and touched his front wing.
I don't know if that was the case or if Ed dropped his left front off the apron on that edge. We might see it again in slow-mo.
But Hinchcliffe backed out in the drivers' meeting today. The drivers were warned and reminded as they nearly come together.
There it goes. No. That's the big one. That's the big one. Big crash.
Oh, boy. Hildebrand, Jones. Hinchcliffe. Alotion. And then many others up front. This and Hunter Ray is about as big as we ever.
All right, here we go. As we see Hinchcliffe come off on the high side here, he comes down on Tony Kanaan here. He's kind of blocking Vautier.
Yeah, but it's his
teammate. And they
teammate.
touch right here.
It's his teammate, Alotion, who's giving Hinchcliffe nowhere to go.
Oh, Vautier got contact as well.
Alotion made it 3 wide down the back straightaway, and when Hinchcliffe had to move up, he was pinched. Terrible result for Vautier that was having such a great run. So both Dale Coyne cars, both Schmidt-Peterson cars, both Ed Carpenter cars all go out in that accident.
We watch here. Watch this. Inside, so he starts coming down. They touch right here, and he got into that tank slapper. So we see, as we see that the tank slapper is when you just kind of lose the car, and now you're fighting the car back and forth, trying to correct it left and right, fishtailing, and you're out of control. As we watch from Alotion's rear view camera here.
On a run.
See the back end of Hinchcliffe's car was snaking back and forth, and you're just out of control. You can never keep up with it, Townsend.
There's 3 lanes here at Texas down the back straightaway. The problem is when Alotion went wide, went 3 wide, he occupied the 2nd lane. He gave these guys nowhere to go. On board with Carpenter. Now watch this, Alotion's up there, and Alotion drops down into the 2nd lane, so Hinchcliffe has no room.
Inside. Oh, we're going to crash. Slow down.
Oh. And that was Hunter Ray that came from behind him after Ed got turned.
I love it when the spotters state the obvious.
When this happens, there's really no time for these guys that are 20, 30 car lengths back. You're in it when you get there. You're going 225 miles an hour. There's no way to even slow down.
And that was exactly like the Rossi crash earlier, which is you're the sandwich. Hinchcliffe's in the middle of 2 cars, nowhere to go. The real estate disappears in front of him or beside him, and he just ping-ponged.
And I just started talking about the drivers were reminded 3rd car in should be the first one out. And we saw, I think it was Hinchcliffe had just done that a moment before.
Yeah, I'll maintain that Hinchcliffe would have been...
Go low.
Tell you what, Ray Hall did some good driving there.
Stay where you are.
He was
Great job.
real switched on there. He got it rowed down and didn't get in there wide open like a lot of guys.
Look at Vautier with his left hand on his helmet. It was a big impact, but I wonder, is he just thinking, oh my, or what's going on?
Or is he holding the visor down, or?
It was a big, I mean, Vautier had the hardest hit as he just ripped there yet.
Well, and there's track debris everywhere, oil dry from the, you see him wiggling right through that oil dry, and it got away, and he was chasing it up the track rodeo style and sprint car style, and just ran out of real estate in the end.
Well, Ray Hall almost got into him from behind. Gabby Chavez had to avoid him. Our 6th caution of the night plus the competition caution.
Big second hit too. The car came up off the ground, so 2 pretty good hits.
So we were scheduled to have that competition caution at lap 224. Now the clock will start over, so depending on when they go back to green and how long the cleanup is, we either may not have it. If we restart later than 2:18, that seems very unlikely.
Well,
we're probably going to have a stop for tires with about 10 to go, as you talked was possible.
If it was 224, that means you have 24 laps of caution, meaning every lap of caution we have now you subtract from 24, and that's how many laps you're going to have on the restart.
Townsend, he went through that speedy dry, all that oil dry, and as soon as he crossed across that, the rear end came out from under him. If we can get another replay of that, he had a big run and went 3 wide, and as soon as he crossed through all that oil dry, the back end just slid out from underneath of him.
But Paul, I don't think he would have made it regardless. It was so dirty. Nobody had been running 3 wide down there. Let's watch this is late after the impact. There was dust flying off, rooster tail coming off the back of that car just from a green track as well.
Watch Graham Rahal here.
See that big pile of speedy dry right there, and as soon as he crossed over that, Townsend, it just went sideways on him.
Fair point. That initiated it, and then there's not much grip to recover.
You see right here,
that.
look at all the speedy dry here, right there, boom, it's sideways as soon as he hit that. So they haven't done a very good job of cleaning that up. I guess they figured nobody's going to go up there, but somebody tried it.
Okay, to clarify on the competition caution. Third blue car running in fourth. Sato coming to the bottom side of Scott Dixon, and they turn. Dixon goes around. Sato goes around. Powers in front.
Well, you knew it was going to happen at some point. They were absolutely driving like maniacs.
Scott Dixon is going to be furious.
A 7th place finish, and let's watch again what happens.
Sato drops a wheel in the grass right here and just loses it. It bottoms, he loses the rear, catches Dixon, and they're both around. And poor Connor Daly gets wrapped up in it, and he spins trying to avoid everything.
And I thought Dixon would make it, but that's Max Chilton that augured into the side of his teammate Scott Dixon. There's Connor Daly down low. I'm not sure if Connor had any contact. Sato just didn't know where the track limit was there.
Well, the track limit's the grass.
Well, that's what I'm not sure he realized. I think he was paying such close attention to power, he just didn't have any idea where the verge was.
At this stage of the race, you're so fixated on the nose in front of you. And I mean, I've touched the grass there going through the short chute, and guys do it in cup cars, and you're just so fixated on trying to get the run done and get a run down the inside.
18th in points. The DHL Honda driver ended the opening practice session 8th fastest, but not before taking a wild spin into the turn 14 tire barrier with just minutes left in practice.
Did check with the official guys as the red flag comes out here. Alexander Rossi has brought out the red, Mark, so we're going to have a delay in action. Maybe I'll actually go back and play a little bit of that cornhole. Todd Ward and his buddies who've been camping out there among the many campers here, and maybe they'll welcome me.
Let's say where a yellow could pop out. This happened in the kink pole, which is kind of a weird area.
Oh, he got off
for
Sato.
Whoa!
Riding it rough, rodeo style. That car was 2 feet off the ground, and luckily he didn't really hit anything hard at all.
Imagine if that nose cone dug in, he would have endoed like Oreo.
Chevrolet, and he's only 12th. Team Penske's 12th, 13th, 17th, and 18th. So they are struggling for speed here in this practice session as we've gone yellow. One car in the wall ride now, exiting turn number 2. That is the number 21 of J.R. Hildebrand, who has backed it into the wall. That Fuzzy's Ultra Premium Vodka Chevrolet mark. He was awful fast in this session, 11th quick, and he has, again, backed it into the wall, exiting turn number 2.
Most of it left side damage. From our view, we're going to take a look at the replay. He gets really, though, the left side's below the line, and then he was along for the ride after that. And it looked like, hopefully, Nick, mainly bolt-on stuff at the rear of the car. He did scrub a lot of speed off before he made contact.
Boy, and how about that shot for those joining us online? That's the car owner.
Which at the moment we're last, so a lot of people to go, unfortunately.
Right, a lot of drivers out there fighting right now to keep grip.
Oh! And Carlos Munoz going around and making contact with the rear end.
And very, very light contact. Got very lucky, but he got loose coming off of 2, and it just slid up the track, and he just barely grazed the wall, so very lucky.
That was exactly like Hildebrand's crash in practice. Let's watch the replay here. This comes at the peak corner load right here where you're demanding the most out of the front steering. He hits that bump and kind of walks the car up the track, and it lets go pretty late. It still bumps his head pretty good in the cockpit. We always say it's a light graze, but trust me, you feel it a lot more in the car.
It's light for anyone other than the person driving it.
Had 2 guys today get away very, very lucky in terms of crash damage to the car, because crashes when you back it in on a short oval like this here or Phoenix can really do a lot of damage to the car.
Accidents, Brian Barnhart said, happened in turn 2. That bumpy turn 2 is a big bump in the middle. As we watch McHale, he floats it into the corner. hits that bump and it just gets loose. He buries the throttle to try to get it to spin all the way around, but it was going for the wall.
I like the commitment on the gas though, man. He was going into the fence and still going to hold it wide open.
And that was his teammate Hinchcliffe there who came by and came the closest.
Multi-car team.
Oh, we got one on the wall there.
Yeah,
Mark.
that looks like one of the coin cars.
That is Gutierrez.
That's the 18 of Gutierrez, and a big fire comes out of the back of that machine, and he made heavy contact with that outside retaining wall. And Davey, that's in the area around troublesome turn 1.
Yeah, it sure is. Boy, a heavy hit on the right side of that car, front and rear. And unfortunately, this session is going to be over right now. And he was 6th, actually. He was one of the guys in. Now, he didn't get underneath that 1 minute mark, was very, very close, but that's going to put James Hinchcliffe, who's 7th, into that top 6 right now. He's going to be happy, but guess who it leaves out? Tony Kanaan, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Connor Daly, and Sebastian Saavedra. Now, Alexander Rossi, he jumped up with another good time of 59.5. But how about this? Newgarden went a 59.8 on blacks. He goes out on reds, only went a 59.6. Didn't pick up a lot of time with that, from the blacks to the reds. So very interesting.
Yeah, that's part of the conversation, Davey. I think ideally everyone would like to see a bit more disparity between those reds and blacks. People would like to see strategy enter into it with those reds and blacks not being so close together in terms of their wear. Know that the reds that the Firestone brought, or the alternate compound, they did add some grip level to that the compound.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be interesting how it all lays out. But wow, what a big hit that was! And I have to tell you, I haven't seen a replay yet, but I have to think this could have been under the bumps, or who knows what really happened right here. But I'm looking forward to seeing the replay. And one thing I want to look back on Charlie Kimball's comments when he said, wow, these guys are crazy going through this, 9, 10, 11 section, which is very, very tight. And he goes, yeah, we're fast. Yeah, I know I'm one of those guys, but not as fast as the Penske guys. So that just tells you how good those cars are, because that has nothing to do with engine. That has nothing to do with power going through those circuits. That's handling race cars. And I really think that's where Penske, they have those cars handling so well, and I think it's a situation to where down on power they've just had to. Oh yeah, that is coming off of turn 11. It happened a little bit earlier than where I thought it did, and when that turn 11 is so tight right there, and if you missed it at all, and it looks like he turned in just a touch early, the front end slid, and he pile drive that outside wall in turn 11, just destroying the right side of that car.
And Nick, he was not in a hurry to get into the safety view. That means activity usually picks up on pit road, Rob Houghton.
Yeah, Mark Jade's very impressed right now with the improvements that Andretti Autosports did. We have contact. That's the number 21 of J.R. Hildebrand, Mark Jade's off the racetrack and on those sticker blacks.
Davey.
Yeah, so what happened right there? Oh, what a bummer, because he was coming through. He found that he was 1 minute 9, the slowest. He was 12th, just going to cross that timeline on those blacks to come into the pits and put the reds on. But now the red comes out, guys, and I think this could be it. I would think just so slightly misses it. Doesn't do a lot of damage to the car, right, or the little bit of left wrong.
And what a shake-up in the championship with this contact. We can see a little further back. Was it Dixon that wiggled and got in?
I think Dixon locked up his rears, and Power had to dodge to avoid, got into the wall, unless Dixon got into the back of Graham Rahal.
Will Power just came on the radio, and you can...
Kanaan leaves the pits. He's going to go try to make the best outlap he can. He goes for big entry speed, cold tire. He's locked up way early. And he was locked up for 100 yards, Townsend, before he even got down to the corner.
Well, and so bumpy there, so cold tires, and he will absolutely be kicking himself. Let's watch again. Let's listen.
One car off 11.
I think all 4 tires
Clear
locked.
behind.
He's trying everything. He's downshifting. He's hoping. You're praying at that point. Anything to stay out of the tire wall.
And he had a decent enough gap that he
was racing racing all of those guys for position right there, but the problem
here at Mid-Ohio. They've been mid-pack throughout the course of the weekend, chasing it a little bit. And Scott, for you, I know there was, he's going to get back to work. Some adjustments on the 83. We'll kick it back to you guys in the booth. Some adjustments on the 83. But yeah, Charlie's a former champion and can become a little frustrated when things aren't going well. We'll see how that plays out, certainly in qualifying later today. And Scott, what are the...
And we've seen a few losses there.
I think you'll talk to the engineers, and one of the things they'll always try to set up for is to be able to get through that keyhole cleanly. Oh, there's trouble. Driver off hard in front here.
That's a big-time hit. That's Spencer Pigot.
That's Spencer Pigot coming out of the final corner mark, just hooked it, and this thing just shot into the wall.
And that is in the same area.
Actually, the car itself can't hold itself up as high, so you need... Oh, we have a crash there. It's one of the... Looks like Ed Carpenter, maybe.
Yeah, that is it. That is Ed Carpenter, the 20. Yeah, right off of turn number 3, and that is a heavy hit to the outside of turn number 3.
Outside left front looks like he must have lost the car, spun it around, and that side came back in to collect the wall.
Good news for Ed and fans of Ed Carpenter. Those of you not watching and simply listening, he's already disconnecting everything, and he's popped the steering wheel off early down the race car. Zach, you're watching it as it happened.
Yeah, just close 3/4 the way through turn 3, and he just lost the rear and completely did a 180 as he was pulling through the exit of the corner, and the left side of that race car just lined up perfectly with the retaining wall right as it starts straightening up for the straightaway. So looked like a pretty hard hit for him.
Racetrack looks like he's got some front end damage to that Boy Scouts of America Honda for Dale Coyne Racing. That's actually out of the tunnel turn. That car steps out, Zach, and he does not very heavy contact, but that's an odd spot to see drivers get sideways over the last couple years here at Pocono.
I mean, to be honest, as long as it didn't get...
Make a qualifying. Whoa! And now Ryan Hunter-Reay goes around.
And he hits...
two big hit
hard.
inside.
So lucky to miss the attenuator on the second impact.
That was a big hit on the outside wall. I don't see his head moving around yet. But that was a really hard hit, 2 hits.
He's taken the steering wheel out, but he said his hip is a concern right now. He hit hard on the outside wall and very hard on the inside. Let's watch.
Just like Ed Carpenter's crash, but probably twice the force.
And same side both times.
You see the wheel still stayed to the car. It's got a tether attached to it so it doesn't go flying down the road.
Look, he matched Ed Carpenter's marks perfectly. Lost at the exact same point, but this was on a qualifying run where the corner speed is up, and when it lets go like that, this is not going to be fun.
Ooh, that was a straight flat pancake against the wall.
Now watch this as he rotates back around. At this point, he'll be looking at the start of the pit wall, just hoping that the car does not impact that head on.
No, I won't, but we appreciate it. But it's been a good month for you so far.
No, it has been, and this is the kind of place that obviously TK likes.
Sorry, we had a crash.
Yeah, Robin, a big one for Helio Castroneves. Got turned around, made contact with the rear, and then the front nose as well. Once again, Pocono Raceway bites.
That was a hard crash, and that is very uncharacteristic of Helio. So not very often you see him crash, and the front nose is completely tore off of that car. Very lucky.
Importantly, though, you heard him say he's okay.
Yeah, didn't expect that much all of a sudden.
To the bottom as he went in, and then it just got loose, and that was a hard hit.
He kind of rode it out for a good 200-300 feet, and then it just kept going. And really what you don't want is for it to hook back like Bourdais at Indianapolis. So, that's the worst noise in this sport, that thundering blow. Luckily for the safer bear.
go back again to see what happened to Sebastian Saavedra.
Very similar to his teammate, James Hinchcliffe. Gets high into the gray and pretty heavy impact. Saved it once, and then it hooked back into the wall, and the right rear walloped as we get another angle on board. Same deal as Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, he just got high. Car coming out of the pits. Munoz coming out of the pits. He got in high, got into gray, and the front end was gone. So
what happens here? Hinchcliffe on the inside, down low on Hildebrand.
Kind of just a racing deal. One guy was coming down, the other guy was coming up just a little bit. They barely touched, and both of them in the wall. Hinchcliffe square on the back attenuator.
Hinchcliffe had a little bit of space to the yellow line, but probably didn't want to get too close to the apron. Meanwhile, Hildebrand doesn't really want to run too high because, as we've seen already, if you get up in that gray, you won't finish the corner. So let's watch on board with Hinch here.
Oh, hard hit. Yeah, it was just really one of those racing deals. It was a pretty late attempt by Hinchcliffe to kind of put it in there that late. He was only at his back wheel. You know, Hildebrand was going for the line. You don't want to get too high and get in the gray, and Hinchcliffe was kind of just stuffed up, spinning the tires, and we'll see here. See, they're coming around real quick because the pace lap was quick, and he lost it on cold tires.
That's Max Chilton coming by, Charlie Kimball. Mark just got, and that is a disaster. Not only for Tony Kanaan to mix the field as we ride on board. That's a big hit. That's a game ender.
So, well, I don't know if it's a game ender, if it's just the back wing, but he's definitely out. Smart move, but here goes Newgarden around the outside, and it was like he just lost it all on his own. Cold tires.
That was a big move from Newgarden, and boy, Will Power is lucky the way Ed Carpenter backed up gearbox first on board with Newgarden. And watch this. How about this setting a championship tone? Big move around the outside. There goes Power straight around. I think he just picked up some turbulent air and chaos behind.
Yeah, Newgarden came down, took the line away from Will, cut the air off the front of the car. Not anything wrong with that move. He was completely clear of him, and it just pulled the back end of Will Power's car around.
And then Sato and Carpenter in reaction also get turned or turn around.
And tell you what, Helio Castro Neves was almost into that. He barely missed that.
What is
now? It's an easy flat corner for these guys, and take a look here. It just went straight. Yeah, it's broke. It's sparking.
See the sparks.
It's so something for sure broke on that car. It's been a bad night for Ed Carpenter's team.
That's a big, big hit. You are fully committed, wide open. That's like a rock on an end of a string.
Either changing the angle of the wing. Let's first find out what happened to Max Chilton.
Lost it behind. He was really tucked up behind the car behind him, and it just got away from him. Townsend, the back end kicked out, and he hit the outside wall pretty hard.
Behind one of the Foyt cars.